This week we're going to be driving a 2018 Mazda CX-9. Mazda has a reputation for building small vehicles. This one's a bit larger, especially when you have 3-row seating on an SUV. And here's a view from the rear. A compact SUV, it is not. The base price of a Mazda CX-9 runs around 33 grand. This is the upgraded signature version, loaded with all kinds of goodies. $48,060 before tax and license. Wow. Anytime we get a vehicle, one of the first things we do is take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform. We'll do that right now. It's dark enough. Let's take these headlights out and see how they perform. Here we have the low beams on a building 100 feet away. Very bright light, good height. High beams, very bright, no complaints. Let's move on to a longer distance. Here we have the brights on a building 300 feet away with a chain link fence in between. Great lights, very bright, very wide. Go to low beam, just barely reaches. No complaints. The outside temperature today is going to be 115, but it's early morning, rather cool at 99. With summer coming out, we've been taking our infrared thermometer and seeing how these paint jobs reflect heat. The white shade is usually the coolest. We'll see. 108 degrees. Here we have a black sedan. 162 degrees, I'd say that's a difference. Been a while since I've done a yellow paint. 128, well, 127, not bad. Better than black. Please don't send me any emails telling me that black and white are not colors. Okay, we'll call them shades. It's going to be hot all week up to 117 degrees, so I'm glad I got this shade instead of the black. But if you live in Alaska, you might want the black. Keep you warm. Let's look under the hood where the V6 has long been replaced by a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder attached to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Said to be quicker and more economical. It's definitely quicker. As far as the economy goes, it's 22 to 28 for front-wheel drive or 20 to 26 with a 23 average for all-wheel drive, or so they claim. Half the horsepower readings you get from the car magazines and web say 250, the others say 227. Kind of confusing, right? So I got on my high-tech Walmart $15 phone, a flip phone. Called someone at Mazda. The 227 horsepower is regular gas, the 250 is premium gas use, for if you're towing heavy loads or whatever. The standard unleaded regular works just fine, as I'm finding out. So far I put 71 miles of city driving, only getting 15.3 in all fairness. That's in temperatures over 100 degrees. We'll be doing more driving to see if we can bump these figures up, especially on the freeway. So stay tuned. So I'll take a look at the cabin, starting with a nice gauge cluster. Lots of room in the glove box if you take the owner's manual out. A roomy center console. Very nice high quality leather seats. Leather is optional, but if you get it you will be pleased. It looks and smells like leather, not like plastic on some other vehicles we get nowadays. You see from the holes the seats are ventilated for heating. Unfortunately, apparently not for cooling. That's too bad because the air conditioning works quite well up to 100 degrees, but when you get to 115 degrees temperatures, it's a bit strained to keep up, but at least the controls are very simple to use. A decent sized navigation screen. Backup camera, of course. Warning me the bushes are about to attack me. Yeah, I get it. I'm parked next to a bush. A performance sport mode button so you can get your fuel economy figures down even lower. The infotainment system is controlled by this knob. It's basically a copy of what you get in Audi and BMW. All of your choices here. There is a learning curve with this. The first 2 days are going to be a bitch, but once you figure it out, it's pretty smooth sailing. These sun visors have an extension to help block out the sun from the side windows. Thank you very much on a hot day like this. Back at the end of the start cave, we have the third row seats. For small people or children only, preferably with no legs. Let's open the hatch and see what's back here. If you need extra room, the third row seats do fold down, like so. Get a storage compartment. If you take the lids off, there is a real spare tire under there. Comes in handy if you get a flat. A lot of SUVs don't have a spare nowadays. Always helps to check. That's enough show and tell. Now we're going to do some driving for the rest of this video. Get some fuel economy figures as well. Just a reminder that CX-9 has all-wheel drive for four-wheel traction in soft sand and wet roads. The performance and handling ability will differ from those offered with front-wheel drive only. This adds around $1,800 to the price, in case you're interested. The power steering system feels pretty good. The all-wheel drive adds a bit more feel and weight. No complaints. We're pulling a mass of around 4,600 pounds here. It's no lightweight. If you want maximum acceleration, you want to put it in the sport mode. Even then, I don't think we're going to lay any rubber. But it doesn't take long for the turbo to kick in, that's for sure. Very smooth and quiet engine. Nice brakes too. On the street, this is a very smooth riding vehicle. Very plush. So we're going to take it on some speed bumps to see how it does on impacts, as we do with all of our test vehicles. We're doing around 20 to 25 miles per hour. Guess we'll have to drive around the maintenance people that are out here today. Bump number 1. Ooh, that was smooth. Bump number 2. 25 miles per hour. Well, the smoothest I've ever done. Number 3. And here comes a nasty one. Impressive. Didn't feel a thing. We're going to reset the MPG figures. Do some highway driving. On this first leg of our fuel economy test, we are driving uphill around 2,000 feet in elevation. So our fuel economy figures will not be that good, but there is a return trip. We'll add the 2 up, divide by 2, and see what figure we get. By the way, this is a very smooth, comfortable highway cruiser, great for long trips. 37 miles uphill was 20 mpg, but I stopped, dropped to 19.8. The cornering ability of the CX-9 is very good, but keep in mind this is intended more for a plush ride than it is for sports car handling. The traction from the all-wheel drive does give you an advantage in taking tight corners, however, especially when you have all this loose gravel laying around. There we do, got a little spin going. Now we're really getting some gravel, that's for sure. We'll need all the traction we can get. So can you take the CX-9 off-road? Well, yes you can, as long as you keep in mind this is basically a car, not a truck. And having all-wheel drive for driving in all this sand certainly helps. If you couldn't go off-roading in it, I couldn't be out here in the middle of nowhere, right? There's all kinds of weird things living in this pond. A pond out in the desert. Like fish with arms. Oh my god, there's another one. Yuck. Wonder what he had for dinner. So I'm getting thirsty. Time to find some civilization somewhere. Driving on these back dirt roads, 50% uphill, 50% downhill. I'm doing 18 miles per gallon for those interested. Civilization. Oh yeah. 19 miles of off-pavement driving. Let's see what we got. 21.6. Better than what I was getting in the city. But now we have a return trip on the freeway. Let's do that. One feature this vehicle has, which I find to be totally ridiculous, is this miles per gallon gauge that bounces around like a ping pong ball. Totally ridiculous. It's a throwback from the 1970s and 80s. Nobody uses these anymore. Well, Mazda does. Get rid of it. Give us an oil pressure gauge or something. We're getting at the end of our return highway trip. We're going to pull over and see what our economy figures are. Okay, 20 mpg going up, 24 coming down. Divide by 2, that's 22 on the freeway, 15 in the city. Add it up, do the math to get your average. And in our 182 miles of driving this week, we averaged 18.2, just under the 22 mpg average car and driver got for their extended test. Close, but no cigar. But then again, they weren't driving in 100 to 110 degrees heat either. Hey, it is what it is. Perhaps adding premium fuel would boost it up a bit, but the cars going back tomorrow don't have time to do that. If you own one of these, you might want to try it yourself. Just for the record, this is the 2016 Mazda CX-9 I drove several years ago with the exact same engine and the exact same weather conditions, over 100 degree driving, and it also got 15 to 24 mpg, just like this one did. Take it for what it's worth. If you live in a cooler climate, you might do better. So after a week of driving, here's my take on the Mazda CX-9. If you like Mazda products but need to haul 7 people, this is their flagship and a very comfortable ride, but gotta watch that option list and get pretty pricey if you don't look out. Here's some links to other Mazdas we've driven as of late.